I rejected them because of that. You know, there was a lot of times where there was many times where I didn't, but there was many more times where I would find an excuse. You know, like I'd continue watching. I want to watch this, or I got to do this work, or I don't have time for that. And I want to break that. I don't want that tension in myself, and so I want to do dancing because fuck. to dancing, and I was thinking about solo, but I think partner dancing is really going the one. And actually, this is just me saying this now. Partner dancing is the one that's really going to help me get through that and get over that. And even the decision to make to go to dancing has already sort of lifted a bit of that tension about it. Like, I've made a conscious decision to go to a dancing lesson. Like, I've already started like exposing this thing. And yeah, just by starting to do that, it's taken the power away from it a little bit, which is cool. I've also been messaging family and friends and people that I don't sort of like regularly stay in touch with, and just trying to connect with them. And I'm getting energy from things. It's not taking energy. It's good. Like if I were to like sort of summarize, like, yeah, I'm doing singing lessons, I'm doing dancing lessons, I'm reading books about sex. I really want to explore. I want to get better at sex. It's this thing that we all are supposed to be good at, but none of us talk about. Like, how the fuck are you supposed to get good at it if you don't talk about it? Not none of us, but a lot of us don't talk about it. Like, I went to a sex shop. So Marie, I think I made a podcast about this already. I went to a sex shop because Marie was telling me about how unsatisfied she felt sexually in our relationship. Comparative to other partners, this is me tooting my own horn, I was better than a lot of the other partners, but just in comparison to what she wanted, it was only like 20%. And then even when we were sort of, our desire was sort of coming back as we were separating, like we realized, we didn't care about trying to make a relationship work. So the sex was just so much better. Like there was no fear. There was, there was no holding back. And for me, it was equivalent to the sex we were having when we were first dating. And she said that was still only like 40%. And I was like, it was mind-blowing. It took me by surprise. Obviously, it hurts a little bit to hear, but I needed to hear it. And she'd mentioned it, but maybe I wasn't as responsive, or maybe she didn't mention it to the same degree. She mentioned it before. We're in the confines of the relationship, and maybe it wasn't as strong because she didn't want to push, me away or get me to be afraid. But because she was afraid, in the end, that I think it's really healthy to have a really passionate sexual life, because I think there's a lot of tension that gets released there to balance out the sort of other side of the relationship, So yeah, anyway, hearing that, I went to the sex shop, and then I just walked in there and told them everything. I told them everything that I just said there in the podcast, and that, I have trouble I finished quite early in penetration, and I want to explore other areas, and I want to learn how to. I've actually been doing Kegel exercises to try and control that pelvic floor muscles to help stop. There's a start-stop technique to help you last longer. And so I really wanted to explore these other, tactics. Like, how can I use my fingers more? I'm quite good with my tongue. I'm confident to say that, but I'm not very good with other parts or other areas of woman's body. And so I just went in there and said that. And just doing that, even alone, like even walking to a sex shop and just being vulnerable enough to just fucking lay it all out there. The lady, I did make a podcast about it, really nice. Yeah, the lady was just dumbfounded. She didn't know how to approach it. But coming back to that Mating in Captivity book, I was just sort of talking about that separation of that intimate relationship and the sexual relationship, and how you like Esther, she's a sex therapist of 20 years, and this was at the time of writing the book, so that was like 2006. So she's been doing a lot longer now. She does a podcast, which I think is a really cool way to just sort of tune in and keep these things front of mind. But she's talking about creating that space so that you could, creating that space within the relationship. So not needing to have to separate to be able to, achieve what Marie and I are starting to achieve between each other. Like we've sort of been rebonding and re-energized, and the sexual energy between us is pretty intense. We haven't been having sex, right? It's leading to that. And I don't know where it's going to lead, but I also have this, I have the desire to be back with her, and I am putting a lot of energy into that because it's really giving me energy back. But I also have this sort of peace to know, I have been on some dating apps and I've explored, and that actually takes a lot of energy from me because that's not where I want to put my energy. So that's why I decided to do the singing and the dancing, and I'm actually thinking about doing some sort of kickboxing or something, because it's something that I've thought about as well. I don't know. Is it a good idea to do all these things? Is it sustainable? Am I going too hard, too fast? Or I don't know. I'm doing it because it's giving me more energy. So if any of these things are taking energy, I'll just stop doing them and I can come back to them later. I mean, it's not like I'm in a rush to do these things. I just what's been holding me back so long to do it? It's really because I'm doing these things because I really feel energized to do them. And that's why so by doing them, I'm actually getting more energy in other areas of my life. Rather than, I should be doing this, so I'm going to do this because I should be doing it, coming from a totally different space. And I don't I'm enjoying learning about it. I'm not reading sex books or trying to learn sex tactics to become this sex god, and I'm doing it because I'm enjoying it, and it is something that I would really enjoy, that if I had a partner that I was able to be able to bring that much pleasure to them, that would bring me pleasure, and then for them to explore things and be comfortable for them, and then for them to feel comfortable to tell me the things that they might not tell other people, or they might not feel comfortable saying, and try to create space for that. It's not realistic to expect that you can sustain that level of intensity and desire between over consistently, and sustain it at a high level. It's very aware of the fact that it's something that's going to ebbs and flows, ups and downs throughout it. But I think just being aware of it is probably, being aware of some of the things that I've been talking about is probably the first sort of key element to it. But incredible book. Yeah, there's a few books there. So A Man's Search for Meaning. Green Lights was amazing as well. If I take one summary from that, it was, less impressed and more involved. I did that in my podcast where I've reviewed Green Light's book. That was great. That was a great takeaway for me, just being less impressed with yourself and being more involved with the people around you. That was good. It's just a series of these things. I think it's a culmination of everything. It's not any one thing. I watched Kung Fu Panda 3, and he's mastered his chi because he realized that he's like, am I the son of a goose? Am I the son of the panda? Am I the dragon warrior? Am I, all these things that he was, am I a friend? He's like, I realized that I am all of these things. And then he mastered chi. I feel like that's kind of the journey that I'm enjoying anyway. And I'm not trying to master maybe I am, but I'm not holding myself to that outcome. I'm really enjoying the process. And I feel like I'm getting better and better at enjoying the process. And it just, that is making it more and more enjoyable. I'm not I'm no longer working out 6 times a week. And I've actually been a little bit sick. Sorry, that's one of the reasons but I don't feel the need to get bigger. I put in a lot of energy, and that was a desire that I had, and I got to that point, and I feel good about it. But it wasn't this freaking explosion of fulfillment and energy stuff when I got to that stage. I was very excited and very happy when I realized I hit my weight goal, and then I just need to shred some fat, and I'm like, oh, we'll go for the next weight goal. And I'm like, oh, why do I I'm energetic, I'm healthy, I've got good exercise, I'm strong, I look good. Why would I really need to start? It's basically to a point where now I'm bodybuilding. what benefits do I get? Like, if I keep bodybuilding, I'm going to have to buy more new clothes, like larger sizes. I'm already right on that point where if I put on much more weight, I'll have to go to the next size up, which means I'm going to have to buy all new shorts and I don't really want to have to do that. It also, there's something I like about being light and springy as well. And, so I just realized why that I used that desire to motivate me and drive me. I could say right now my main desire is to get into a really just fantastic, energetic, fun relationship, like with Marie. And again, I don't know that it's only Marie. It's like that's something cool to sort of put out there. But I don't know that I think I am. Maybe I am held a little bit to that right now. That's kind of where my focus is, because I do really miss her, and I do really like seeing her happy and fulfilled, and I really want to keep that for her. I don't want to take that away. I want, her to feel that freedom. I don't want her to feel like that if she comes back into a relationship with me, she's giving up all these things. I think that's part of what she's exploring right now. She's trying to explore if she actually wants these things or not. And that's why I think I'm okay with it. It's strange. Like, honestly, it's strange. I'm meditating. I'm okay. Like, I am in this situation. It's very different in the confines of a relationship. It's a trust thing, right? But in this situation where we're separated, we both agreed to the separation, knowing that, we were both allowed to see other people and explore that and see if that's something that we thought we wanted or not. I think that looking back and if I had have read this book before we'd separated, I really believe that we would not have needed separation. I really believe that I would have explored this book to its fullest, and explored myself to the fullest and start working on those things. But it's happened the way it's happened, and it's been a really valuable learning lesson. And I can't rave about this book enough. Really, I'm going to buy like fucking 20 copies of it and just carry a couple around with me and just give it to people that I know that are in long-term relationships, and just say, hey, this is a really cool read. I'd recommend it. I really love how unpredictable my journey has been, and I thought I had this intention of building this massive business when I first picked up $100 million offers a year ago and started doing this podcast. I really thought I had this like intention of where this podcast was going to go and of where my life and what I was going to put into it. And I'm just following my energy and following myself, and it's been extremely fulfilling. That's cool. And so where my head's at now moving forward is I'm really enjoying solar. I'm really enjoying selling residential solar. So I'm just exploring some options. My cousin's partner, her dad does solar tenders. And so I met up with him at my nana's funeral over Easter, and it was really nice to see him. I haven't seen him in about 10 years. And, funerals are sad, but they're part of it. My nana had been on a bit of a decline for a while from dementia, and so it was kind of nice for the closure, I think, for a lot of us, and for her to sort of, and then we could sort of reinvigorate the memory of how we all remembered her before dementia, which was, I think, really nice. Anyhow, I met up with, saw him at the funeral and was just talking, and found that out that his partner's dad does solar tenders, and I was really intrigued, and so I reached out to him. I said, hey, I'd really love to touch base, and so I'm going to be teeing up with him and I've sent him an email and just asked some questions and sent one of the tender offers, because we put out about 30 or 40 tenders and we didn't win any of them, and so just learning about that. Apparently my cousin reckons that it's 90% price orientated as to why they go for tenders. I was really hoping that wasn't the case, but part of me knew. So I'll be exploring whether because tenders is just kind of like putting proposals out. It's not really that exciting. Whilst you could probably make money,